In this video, let us continue working on our sci-fi base. So continuing from our last video, I've gone ahead and added some lighting and textures to the main dome. And in this one, let us add textures, especially this one, over to the side structures. So let's start to select it. Do a rough outline selection. Copy that onto a new layer. And let's bring that into our matte painting. So on the sci-fi base, now we need to go into the right folder, and that is station 1A. All right, so let's bring in our texture. Transform that in. Now the lighting on the image is opposite to what we want, so let's flip it. Start to match what the proportions of our object are. So once I make this into a clipping mask, it'll be easier for us to position it since it will be bound by the object's boundaries. Using my arrow keys to nudge and fine tweaking the final position. This image was taken from the Science World building in Vancouver. So switching the highlights layer to linear dodge, just going to play around with the opacity. Going into the black and white mode, let's compare our values, and we can quickly see that the blacks are too low. So bringing up our levels, push the output levels for black so long as they match. Just sampling colors to check what hue they are. That helps us to check if they are integrating properly with our scene. Using a color balance, just increasing the blues, and that helps us. Going over to the highlights, I'm adding some yellow. So another thing I notice here is that there is some red color reflecting into the dome. So let's go ahead into a hue saturation, choose reds, and just kill off the saturation. That is, make it as low as we can. I'll just push the lightness up so that instead of red, now it's reflecting the snow. All right, so I'm going to continue doing this, like repeating this to the other buildings and adding details all across over the base while we are away. And in this video, let's spend the rest of the time working on adding some more contrast over to the clouds. So let me quickly pause the video while I save it, and let's resume then. All right, so let's go over to the background clouds layer, and we already have a curves which is adding a little bit of contrast. So to increase it, I'm adding another one. Let's move that over to the side. Let's push the value down, make it a bit more crunchier. All right, something around that works. And filling that layer with black. And with our usual drill, let's open up the brush tool and use a soft round brush with pressure sensitivity and just paint in areas where we want this contrast to show up. Alright, so I'm going to make a duplicate of this layer and drag it outside and bring it into the sky layer. So now, painting in the same mask, I can affect the sky with the same curve settings as the background clouds. And we are just tweaking it just a little bit more, working for our sky. All right, so we are nearly finished with our matte painting now. I'm just going to spend the rest of the time between this and our next video adding in details to the rest of the base and some fine balances between the rest of the elements. Let's pick it up in the final video.